This is just a further update on the Republican Party's attempt to hold down the African American vote. And this segment is particularly about what's going on in Ohio and in North Carolina.
All right, you talk about early voting in Florida. Let's talk about early voting in North Carolina and Ohio now as well. We've seen some vote totals there that are giving Democrats reason for pause, especially in places like Ohio. Voter turnout, early voter turnout, specifically among black voters in the Tar Heel State and the Buckeye State, down from 4 years ago. How could that affect chances for Democrats? And to what can we attribute that?
So I think in Ohio, it's a really good bellwether state to understand the artificial increase in African-American vote because of Barack Obama in both 2008 and 2012. Nowhere did that happen more than in Ohio. You had this incredible inflation of the vote. People who are infrequent or non-attached voters, meaning they don't typically vote in presidential contests. They came out in huge numbers for Barack Obama. So I think it artificially inflated the African-American vote to a point that Hillary Clinton is not going to be able to match. Now the Democrats are going to try to get close to it. They're trying to get out those voters. So remember, these aren't people who vote in every election. They voted 2 elections. They want to try to get them out for this third one. Jay-Z is heading out there. This is and you know what? The Obama campaign did this in Florida in 2008. You can come to the concert, right, but you pick up the tickets where you vote. And here's one other important thing. Cuyahoga County, which is where the bulk of that African-American vote is, there's not a lot of other options of where you can early vote. Republicans in that
just state, one. There's only one
just
place
that one.
In
Right. Okay. For those of you who don't know it, Cuyahoga County is the home of Cleveland, Ohio, which is a huge African American city. Okay, and what the Republicans did was they decided that instead of having several early voting sites, there's only one, and there is at least 250,000 people that African Americans that reside in Cleveland, Ohio, if not more. So for them to try to force 250,000 people into one location to early vote obviously is going to depress the amount of people that have the ability to vote early.
Cuyahoga County.
There's only one place to go. That's by design.
More than 250,000 people registered to vote in Cuyahoga County, or at least live in Cuyahoga County. You say it's by design.
It's by design.
We are seeing some of the Republican efforts to restrict early voting in Ohio. We're starting to see the manifestation of some of that work.
Oh, absolutely. John Husted has played a game of keep away with voters ever since he became Secretary of State. If you sign your name with the inappropriate squiggle that's not exactly like the squiggle that's on your ID card, you can't vote. If you sign on this part of the line rather than that part of the line, you can't vote. So it's been a real game of keep away, but nothing more so than in North Carolina. I think North Carolina is the belly of the beast when it comes to voter suppression. I spoke with Reverend William Barber, who you know, earlier this morning, and he made the point that 70% of African Americans use early vote in the first week of early voting. So when Republicans passed that law to change the way you early vote, what did they cut? The first week of early voting. They literally cut surgically all of the ways that African Americans vote. A court reinstated that first week of early voting. Yeah. So what did Republicans, led by Dallas Woodhouse, who put it on paper, Dallas Woodhouse, who's been on our air, a Republican operative in North Carolina, he said, okay, we'll comply, but comply in a way that helps Republicans. So what did they do? There's some places that had 20 early voting locations, now they have 1. They're doing the same thing that you're seeing in Cuyahoga County, so that you have places in North Carolina like Goldsboro where everybody in Goldsboro, which is where Reverend Barber's church is, has to vote in one location. Well, there's also been recent flooding. You had a recent hurricane. A lot of those places were underwater. So African Americans are having a really tough time in terms of having enough early voting locations. North Carolina is probably the most aggressive state in voter suppression in the United States right now.
So you want to wonder why the early voting numbers on African Americans are down? There are 2 prime examples.
You're looking for come Tuesday night after the polls close around 7 o'clock.
I think that you're going to see some surprises. I think North Carolina is now officially a swing state. Went to Obama once. When he lost it, he only lost it by about 93,000 votes. He won it by 14,000 votes. Hillary Clinton is on track to win that state. The governor is incredibly unpopular. You've got Richard Burr, who made that joke about someone shooting Hillary Clinton, who's also blocked 3 African-American women from getting either judgeships, including the current Attorney General. He stood in the way of Loretta Lynch, tried to stand in the way of her becoming the Attorney General. There are 2 African-American women waiting to be elevated to court judgeships. That issue is now starting to percolate through the African-American community. He's very unpopular. So I think you're going to see a surprise in Democrats' favor, perhaps in North Carolina. Florida is going to be the closest state in the union. Right now, that state is basically 50-50.
Yeah.
So once again, Florida is going to give us a drama because, you know, that's what Florida does.
Florida.
Brings the drama.
Yes, it does. So we always get
All right, so that just further documentation on what the Republicans are trying to do to stay in power. Obviously, even if Clinton gets in there, she's going to need to get at least 4 senators switched from Republican to Democrat. I'm thinking that she's probably going to get the guy in Wisconsin because he was on death watch up until the FBI drop of that reopening. It's not a reopening, continuation of the Clinton email investigation. So that's Wisconsin. Tammy Duckworth is a slam dunk no matter what in the state of Illinois. I'm kind of hoping for the Democrat in Missouri to come through. He's neck and neck right now, and he's facing a guy that is the epitome of insiders, Washington insiders. So he's got a really strong chance. The guy in Pennsylvania, Toomey, he's got a big issue, and the person that's going after him has got a substantial lead. So that's 4 right there. If they can get Burr out of North Carolina, that would give them 5. And if they can get Kelly Ayotte, and that's a neck-and-neck race up in New Hampshire, that'll be 6. More than enough for Clinton to be able to get Supreme Court justices and other federal court nominees put into place. The House of Representatives obviously is another matter.